Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Friday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad and Instagram at Movies TV Mad 555. On today's show, I will be reacting to Black Widow. I will be reading an article about Ben Affleck's The Batman movie, which I'm very interested and excited to talk about today. And we will be talking about DC fandom. Yesterday there was 100 days to go. Today is 99 days to go. So we will finish off with DC fandom on today's Friday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. Right, let's talk about what I thought of Black Widow. Black Widow, when it comes out on Blu-ray, will be one of those movies I put on about midnight when I can't sleep. It will probably help me relax and I'll watch it and it'll be perfectly fine. And, you know, I'll probably watch it nightly just to help me sleep when I can't sleep. I'm not saying it's a boring movie. Listen, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a jigsaw puzzle, right? So you go from A, B, C, they're all interconnected, they all connect. That's what it does. It's never about the individual film, and this isn't about the individual film. Kevin Feige will have you believe that he finally gave Natasha Romanoff her movie. It's an illusion, my friends, because this is all about Florence Pugh and Natasha Romanoff's other supporting characters in this movie. They are the future of the MCU, and it's not Natasha Romanoff. She's a special guest star in her own movie, but it's not really her own movie. It's a lie. Now, listen, they or her, look, I don't know what happened, but it seems to me that Scarlett Johansson, people like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. had a little conversation and said, listen, we've got to get out of this fucking thing now. Our 9 picture deals are over, or whatever they had. Kevin Feige saying in an interview that there'll be no more 9 picture deals because he wants people to be involved who want to be involved. That says to me that Robert Downey Jr. probably didn't want to be involved, probably in the centre of that 9 picture deal. Same with, what's his name? Nick Fury, him. I forgot his bloody name in real life, but anyway. Yeah, so the guy who plays Nick Fury, he had a 9 picture deal. I don't think he was happy with it, and he kind of went missing kind of after Avengers as well. We didn't see much of it after the first Avengers. So I just think these people had had enough. They wanted to expand their careers and not stay in this. You know, being in a franchise like the MCU is easy. You make money, you're on the biggest franchise in the world at this moment in time, financially the biggest franchise of all time, but it's not about art. It's not about acting, is it? You're just standing there. It's easy fucking money, and that's great. But, you know, Scarlett Johansson is either an Oscar winner or an Oscar nominee. I can't remember if she actually won one for Lost in Translation. I think she did. So she's a really talented actor. Now, they originally cast this really talented actor because she looked good in a tight leather black uniform. And she's more than that. She absolutely is. Of course, she's an attractive woman, but there's more to Scarlett Johansson than looks. And so what they do is they killed her off. Is it in Endgame they killed her off, or in Infinity War? I can't even remember. So really, that's my opinion. When you decide to kill someone off, you either contrive a way to bring them back, but you never show them again. Now, going back in time, now there's another way, but by the way, before I go into it, there's another way if they wanted to have brought her back is through the multiverse. They're doing this multiverse strategy at the MCU like they're doing at the DCEU as well. And you know, the multiverse means you could have brought her back that way. You could have done a very exciting movie. Instead of going back in time, you could have done a multiverse movie, right? And you still could have found a way of introducing Florence Pugh's new Black Widow and the supporting characters. That would have been kind of nifty, but they didn't do that. They decided to say, right, we're going to kill this character off. Then we want you to kind of embrace this movie about this character that's not about this character that died several films ago. It doesn't make sense. Listen, we all know this, and we can't go back in time, and it's boring going on about it, but we all know that basically Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff should have got a movie maybe in the 3rd or 4th kind of, basically, let's just say in the 3rd or 4th movie, phase 1, let's put it that way. But the powers that be at Marvel Studios before it went to Disney, and then when it went to Disney, believed a female-led movie back then wouldn't have worked financially, and back then they were under no pressure to do it. But now the optics have changed in Hollywood, and it's the extreme left have really taken over that industry, and they demand female-led movies. So Kevin Feige's pretending that he's going all kind of, basically we're going to represent and be inclusive now. That's what Phase 4 is all about. But it's all an illusion. It's not real. Look at what they did in Loki. They pretty much had him, confess that he's bi. And now, if you're an inclusive company, what would you do? Get him to fall in love with an attractive woman, or actually get him to fall in love with another guy? Because basically, getting him to fall in love with another guy, Morbius, Owen Wilson, would have been a better fucking idea. In fact, Morbius and Loki actually seem like they're fucking in love. I would have loved that. When they embraced the other day, I cried. I cried. I feel it. I feel it between them. I think that would have worked, right? Some of you may think I'm a sexist, I'm this and that. I'm not. I want inclusivity, but I want it done properly, right? But these people are not interested. They want to say, hey, we're right on, everyone. Behind the scenes, they're the biggest racists, sexists and homophobes anywhere in any industry. That's what's so hilarious, making Loki bi and then having him fall in love with a beautiful woman. It's hilarious. Now, I love their dynamic, but I just think there was an opportunity there with Loki and Morbius. Anyway, we're getting away from the subject. And so we got this film, and the action's really, really good. It's really kind of Fast and the Furious type of action. The action's, is it Kate Shortland who directed it? She does really well with the action. It's actually great that we're employing female directors who can do action, not mentioning any names. Kathy Yan, basically, because when you actually bring on a director, they should have the talent to be able to do what you need them to do. Now, I want to see more females and I want to see more minorities on the screen and behind the screen. But you can't just bring in Kathy Yan because she's an Asian lady. You've got to bring in Kathy Yan because she can do the job. And she couldn't do the job. So they brought a man to do a job they brought a woman on to do. Anyway, so Kate Shortland did a really, really good job with the action. Is it one of them who directed it or two of them? I can't remember. Anyway, and so I think Kate did a great job with that. I think Kate did a good job with the movie, but in terms of the actual plot, you've got this family element there, and it's okay, and it kind of works. This is what I said on my Instagram edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily today. I said, wouldn't it have been better if we did a trilogy, and we started this Black Widow trilogy in Phase 1, and we actually saw her backstory. I think what they should have done is not introduce her in Iron Man 2. I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think we should have seen her origin movie. We should have seen her behind the curtain or whatever it's called. I can't remember then. They did do that kind of those elements, right, of what she went through and what people go through, right? But the thing is, they could have done it in an origin movie. So, and then in the second movie, and then what you do is, you introduce her to the Avengers and all of that after the first origin movie. Then in the second movie, we're introduced to her sister and the supporting characters, her mother and her father. And then the third movie is this epic climactic kind of final part of this story, like Captain America had, like Iron Man had. But they didn't do that. They wanted us to, embrace Florence Pugh in one movie. Now, someone's told me it's Florence Pugh, and I think it is, but I like saying Florence Pugh, so I'm just going to say, because I don't want to say Florence Pugh by mistake, so should we say Florence Pugh? Fuck it. Sorry, Florence. Should I just call you Florence? Yeah, just call you Florence. What a lovely name, by the way. Anyway, let's call you Flo. We'll call you Flo. So, Flo was really, really good in this movie, and you did believe they were sisters, and the emotional element was good, but listen, as I say, it's normally when you watch an MCU movie, mostly, it's another chapter, let's watch it. And, it's not like the movies, basically the movies aren't great, it's the piece of the puzzle that's kind of, it's like when you watch an Ant-Man film and it's like, Yeah, right, well, we have to watch this. I'm not really that motivated to see this film, but it's another part of the MCU, so I have to watch it. And what happens then is you become a slave to the franchise rather than watching it. Watching the film because you want to watch it. Now, Ant-Man Quantumania is very different because we're going to see the introduction of Kang the Conqueror. This is a big movie, a bigger movie than the other two, and I'm kind of more excited to see that. But basically, I mean, these are the films that I was really invested in. Iron Man, Captain America the First Avenger, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think they're great films. I think Infinity War is a great film. I think there's about 4 MCU films that I really, really liked as movies. Black Widow isn't one of them. It's, as a puzzle piece, it's okay, and the post-credits are it's okay as well. I mean, we're hearing, look, we know that most of the critics and entertainment media are either bought or paid for, or they're just doing it for access. And I got myself in trouble in one of my TikTok accounts when I stitched an MTV, entertainment journalist. He didn't like what I had to say, but it was the truth. I'm fed up of hearing how great and brilliant every single MCU movie is, and then they distract you with Rotten Tomatoes ratings. It don't matter. That don't mean a fucking jot to me. It's what I see. It's what I see personally. So, if I see something I don't like, I'm going to tell you it's shit. I don't care if 100,000 critics went over on Rotten Tomatoes and put the metrics sky high. I don't care about the audience score. None of it means nothing to me. You know, Rotten Eggs or Rotten Tomatoes or whatever they fucking call it, right? It doesn't matter to me, right? This film is a middling movie, and there is no investment for anyone in this movie. As an audience member, it doesn't matter what you say after you've watched it. Don't lie. Just be honest. I don't care how much you stand this franchise. Be honest. There is not a lot of investment in this film. First of all, this is basically, Scar says this is her last movie, but Feige, and this is the lack of communication, is saying, well, you never know where she could pop up. That's interesting because she's saying it's her last MCU movie, but maybe she's not saying she didn't say what John Boyega said with Star Wars. You ain't gonna Disney Plus me, you know, so you never know. Look, Scarlett Johansson is a very talented woman, and she deserves, if she wants to get into directing, she should be able to do it. And I want to see her being nominated for Oscar movies. I want to see her doing indie movies. And this is what I thought Robert Downey Jr. would be doing when he left Marvel. By the way, he's apparently unfollowed everyone. I think we've mentioned it on a couple of editions of the Movies TV Mad Daily. So back to the movie. So as I say, the action is good. A lot of people have complained about the CGI. I wouldn't go that far. Look, listen, unless you're Justice League, you shouldn't. If you're Justice League, or the bit in Superman Returns at the end when Superman flies in space at the end and he smiles, that's terrible CGI. And by the way, Superman Returns had some really good CGI, but that end bit wasn't good. I was very disappointed as a Superman fan, and predominantly a fan of the Superman Returns movie. Anyway. And so you've got the emotional element, but really this is about Florence Pugh. She's the future, and the mother and the father. It's about them. They're the ones you need to take notice of in this movie. I think all of the actors had great performances, but as I say, this is a very, very middling movie. So it pretty much is just another MCU movie that basically it's introducing a new Black Widow. That's what it's doing. That's the role of this film. This isn't about giving Natasha Romanoff a movie. You don't give someone a movie after you kill them. It doesn't make sense, right? And this is the last time we're potentially going to see her. We don't see her die. We don't see her have an ending because she's about to go into battle. Really, this should have just been a Florence Pugh origin, Black Widow origin movie, and leave it at that, and introduce the characters that you're going to move forward with. Natasha Romanoff, you've killed her off. She shouldn't be in this film. So I'm going to give this film 5 out of 10. I think it deserves that much. It's not a bad movie. It's just another average, mediocre MCU movie, and it's just another piece of the jigsaw. And you know what? Say what you want about Zack Snyder. He gave us Man of Steel along with Nolan and Goya. Then he gave us BVS. That wasn't a middling movie. Whether you like it or not, that movie had something to say. Suicide Squad had something to say, but had connective tissue. It had Batman. It had fucking The Flash in it. And it developed its own characters really well. I'm surprised people don't actually like Suicide Squad, the theatrical cut. I know they messed with David's vision, but it's still okay. Wonder Woman's one of the best movies ever made, as I've said before. We don't have to talk about Justice League. You know, you got the Snyder Cut, you got Aquaman. I just think that the DCEU have done connectivity more interesting. It's like if you compare Shazam and Ant-Man. Shazam's actually a really interesting film. Again, it has something to say about an adoptive child, you know, an orphan really, someone, it's got something to say about rejection. Ant-Man is introducing you to a new character, but that character doesn't have much to say. I like his relationship with Cassie, his daughter, but there's, you know, but that's what I mean. The people keep on talking about the DCEU being a mess, and Justice League is embarrassing, but even though I don't like what Birds of Prey has to say, at least it's trying to say something. And at least there's some entertainment moments in the film. Wonder Woman 84, some people like it, some people hate it. I think it's got a great third act. But again, it's trying to say something. It's trying to be its own thing. And there is connectivity there with the beautiful live music as well. And so, listen, it's amazing really how people actually sanely think the MCU has better movies than the DCEU. I've told you before, the MCU is a really good franchise. It does the things a franchise should do, but each film is just another movie. It's just another connective piece. Individually, they're not classics. That's the problem. But to me, and I'm biased because I'm a DCEU fan, you know, you know, the DCEU movies are actually classic and rewatchable, if you ask me. Right, I needed a breather there, so that's your reaction to Black Widow. As I say, make your own minds up. I'm not God. I can't tell you what to think. I'm not an MCU stan. I've got the movies, but I'm not an MCU stan. So let's get back to the DCEU. Before we read this article about Robert Richardson discussing Ben Affleck's Batman movie from BatmanNews.com, there is slightly a bit of an update for you because James Gunn, WB and DC released one of an OST. What do they call him? An OST. So a piece of the soundtrack from Suicide Squad. So I forgot the guy who's composing the music, but it was pretty much a bit of, I think it was a bit of music from one of the sequences, obviously one of the sequences of the movie. So I think if you follow James Gunn, if you look for James Gunn on Twitter, you will find it. Also, it might be on Spotify as well. I like the music. It's not the best piece of DCEU music I've ever heard. It's very guitar-y, kind of rocky, that kind of thing. It's obviously them going into battle or something. I'm more like the classic Zimmer, Hans Zimmer type of music, Junkie XL. I like my music. I like the violins. I like the composed music a lot more. But I'm going to give his music a chance. We'll see what he does with the soundtrack when I actually see the full movie. So, that's your update there. Robert Richardson discusses Ben Affleck's abandoned Batman script by Sean P. Orne. Robert Richardson was recently rumoured to be coming onto Matt Reeves' The Batman as the cinematographer, while that rumour was shot down by Richardson himself. So this is an old story, but they put it up there, so let's give it a read. That rumour was shot down by Richardson himself. He was indeed set to work on the film when it was a Ben Affleck project. In fact, I think we covered this a long time ago, but it's worth giving it a look again. Richardson is out on the publicity circuit for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that included a stop by Josh Horowitz's Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. Horowitz asked Richardson what the film was going to be like, and he shared quite a bit about the overall tone. Well, he was going more into the insanity aspect, so I think you would have seen something a little darker than what we've seen in the past, and more into the individual who's inside Batman. What element may be sane and what element may actually not be sane. So he was entering into a little more of the Arkham, as you know. He's going into where you keep everyone who was bad, everyone that shifted and Batman. And so the whole aspect was it was very fascinating to go to the darker side of Batman. So this is very, very interesting, because it looks like Ben Affleck's The Batman would end up in Arkham Asylum with the people he's put in there. This would be fascinating, and he's talking about seeing the elements of Bruce Wayne and Batman that are sane, and the elements that are insane. I think this would have been fascinating, and this is pretty much a script written by Ben Affleck and was going to be directed by Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck knows Batman. He's a great Batman. I want to see this. I have lots of balanced, differing opinions about Snyder, but I love what Snyder did with the DCEU, and I really want to see this, and I still don't think it's too late. Horowitz pointed out that we've never really seen Arkham Asylum on the big screen. Exactly. To which Richardson replied that no, and that's where we were going. I was very interested in that one. So am I. Of course, this script is no longer in play as Affleck has departed the role of Batman. Reeves has said numerous times that this film will be more of a noir detective story, and rumours are currently pointing to 6 villains being involved in the story. Maybe we'll get to see some of them get hauled off to Arkham Asylum, but it's doubtful if we'll spend much time there as a focal point. We know from the Joker trailer that he visits Arkham Hospital, so at least we have that to look forward to. So yeah, so I think Richardson's said some interesting things we can actually digest. So I like the element of kind of examining and exploring Bruce Wayne's and Batman's sanity, sanity and insanity. Maybe the statement is that Batman's insane and Bruce Wayne's sane, or maybe even that Batman's sane, which is even more scarier, and Bruce Wayne's insane. Listen, he's a fascinating character because he saw his parents murdered in front of him. As much as you lot say it's boring and oh how many more times, it's such an interesting concept to examine. I think that Ben Affleck would have given us a great movie. Listen, I actually think what Snyder was doing and Affleck was doing and Ayer was doing was fantastic, and it was interconnected. That's the sad things. But the difference is between Snyder's interconnections, I think they're better than what Feige's done with the MCU, because every movie of Snyder's, from the Snyderverse, had something to say. And even the DCEU without Snyder has something more to say in their individual movies. And that's my point. So finally, right, we're all very excited. One of my subscribers, one of my favourite subscribers, Ronnie Dodge, tagged me on Twitter yesterday to remind me, because I haven't been counting, I do apologise, but I am excited, by the way, that it was yesterday 100 days to DC fandom. Now it's 99 days to DC fandom, and that's very, very exciting, and I will be counting down. Now, obviously yesterday I spoke about being live for DC fandom, so right now I'm having problems getting a laptop. I ordered one from the UK, but they wanted me to pay a lot of money in income tax, and they wanted my number, they wanted my email address, and anyway, so I wasn't willing to pay €100 or whatever income tax just to get a fucking tablet for nearly 250 quid. So I've had to cancel that order, so I'm just looking to see how I can get a tablet. With my dad being so disabled and weak, it's very difficult for me to leave the house unless I've got a meeting or something, or I've got a pre-dated kind of arrangement. Anyway, so I am working on getting a tablet, and I'll keep you, not a tablet, a laptop, and I will keep you updated with that. Anyway, DC fandom is so exciting. I was never this excited for Comic-Con because it was about everything, but this is about us. It's about DC animation, DC movies, and we know we're heading to a very exciting direction in DC movies. I like these new line cinema directors and creatives. I think Walter Hamada is building a great team that can give us something very, very special, and I'm looking forward to James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in a few weeks' time. I aim to go to the movie theatre to see it properly, and I can't wait. Next year we've got the Batman, Black Adam, Aquaman, and the Lost Kingdom, the Flash movie, which is the biggest event. And, then I think next year we'll be able to answer the question, is Henry Cavill still Superman? Now, we know that a lot of people inside the studio are saying there is a place for multiple Supermen. So that's interesting as well. So, because yesterday was 100 days to go and today's 99 days, let's explore what kind of things that we could get at DC fandom. Excuse me, I was screaming at my sister earlier because I've got a very selfish family. But anyway, so my voice is a bit, my lungs are not doing very well this morning. But I will be a professional. And so I want you to comment in the comments down below, what are your hopes and dreams for DC fandom? And we'll take a look at them and I'll read them out on the next video. My hopes and dreams are that we get what we got in the first DC fandome. A celebration of the fans, a celebration of this DC universe and DC characters, but I expect some big shocks and big reveals at DC fandome. I expect the trailer for the Batman, I expect the trailer for Black Adam, I expect the trailer for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I expect the trailer for Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and I expect the trailer for Flashpoint. I expect all these trailers. I also expect the people who will be making the Green Lantern Corps series to be talking about that as well. But yes, do expect some surprises. What a surprise it would be if Henry Cavill showed up at DC fandom. What a great announcement to hear what we've just been talking about, Ben Affleck's The Batman being announced. You see, we don't know what Affleck's future is within the DCEU, so it's very exciting. Some people say it will be deleted, killed off, as Cavill's Superman will be, but we will see what the plan is. Nobody knows what the plan is. The multiverse was created to bring everyone in. It wasn't to drive people away. So Ann Sarnoff may have said this is not just about one fandom, but she's not done. She doesn't want to get rid of that fandom either. So people who love Snyder's stuff will also be giving something. I do not believe that I think a couple of things could be deleted, but not anything that important. So I don't expect Cavill and Affleck to be deleted from the universe. When the universe is rebooted, I don't expect anyone to be triggered by what they do, but people will always be triggered because that's the mark of fandoms these days. But in terms of DC fandom, I expect everyone to join together and be very, very happy, because I think it's going to be an excellent event like last year's was. We've got 5 films to look forward to, and that's not including the stuff we've got on HBO Max as well. It's a very exciting time to be a DC fan, and DC Fandom 2021, October the 16th, is going to be something special. And I will be here. I don't care if I have to steal a fucking laptop. I will be here live all the way through it. But please comment down below. Let me know what your hopes and dreams are for DC Fandom. So that's it for today's Movies TV Mad Daily. I'm on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and I'm on Instagram at Movies TV Mad 555. I nearly forgot it there. So I will be back in the next video. Whatever you're doing today, have a great day, and always keep it DC. See you again soon.